Don't look good. Pulse. Somebody give me the zapper. Clear. Blasted. Still got no pulse. Come on. You're gonna make it. You hear me? You're gonna make it. Clear. Stars. I thought you were a goner. Glad to see I was wrong. Look, I hate to leave you like this. There'll be others that need my attention.
We're here seeing Wildstar, and Chad, I'm going to ask you the most obvious question, and probably the question you're always asked the most. Is this the next new big MMO? And don't hit me, please.
Well, we'd like to think so. You know, we've done a lot of research over the past 4 years. That's how long we've been working on it, trying to determine exactly what that means. And we think that we've come across a few things that may make it that way. And so, yes, our hope is that it is the next great MMO.
Obviously enough, you can't. We have to start with the artwork. We have to start with the art style. I mean, in a field which seems to only represent buxom, ironclad vixens and large hulking men, this is quite left field. Did the idea sort of spin out of this originally, or was the design aspect in place, and then you guys thought we're going to go somewhere left field with the look?
They sort of evolved organically and kind of evolved together. You know, over time we've actually had both different designs and different art styles. But as we've developing the IP and the ideas behind Wildstar, all of those things sort of came together for what you see here, right? And we think it's pretty unique, you know. We feel that we have a compelling world and some cool stories to tell, and you know, we want to have fun at the same time, and we think that this art style gives us all those things at once.
Well, we saw it with a trailer just before we came into the presentation, and the trailer was very, I don't want to say comedic, but again, it sort of felt a very refreshing contrast to what we've seen in the MMO market before. It's the world of Nexus. Well, actually, just can you sort of talk to us about the world of Nexus and what the sort of vibe and feel of the game is?
Well, at the core, Nexus is the home world of this ancient race, okay? They're called the Elden. But as players get here, what they find out is that the Elden are no longer here, right? And so part of your adventure on Nexus is to figure out what happened to the Elden. To talk about what you were asking about before in terms of, you know, the feeling of Wildstar, I think it's very important to us that we have a broad range of experiences, right? We want players to have dramatic moments, you know, things that they remember, things they talk about years afterwards. But at the same time, we wanted to have an art style and a game that didn't always take itself seriously, right? You know, the trailer, I think, is a good example of that. You know, it gives you a cool setting and some awesome vistas and a great view of Planet Nexus, and there's a little bit of action and drama, but at the same time, there's some funny moments, right? These characters, they have personalities, and they're personalities that I think that players will remember as they play Wildstar.
And obviously enough, with players getting grasp of it the first time, what classes can they look forward to? How's that set up?
So currently there are 3 classes that you can play, at least here at Gamescom. These are not the only 3 classes in the game, right? One of them is the Warrior. He's sort of a classic warrior class, big melee weapons, lots of direct damage. There's a Spell Slinger, and he is sort of a combination magic user and gunslinger, okay? We think it's sort of a great combination of both science fiction and fantasy. And then the other class is an Esper, and the Esper is an illusionist, okay? They use these powerful psychic projections to attack enemies and confuse enemies, and at the same time they can do things like inspiring buffs and heals for people in their group. It's a pretty dynamic and versatile class, actually one of my favorite classes in the game.
Now, starting off with the game, we're expecting, or should we be expecting the usual sort of setups with the opening hours in MMO as players just get the grasp of the ideas, so very simple quests and stuff like that. But we've heard there's a bit more dynamic aspect to Wildstar's missions.
So I think what you're referring to are player paths, okay? And this is a different choice than your race and your class. You still have those choices, but player paths basically allow you to do 2 things. One, it gives you context for why you're coming to Nexus, right? There are 4 paths that will be available. They are the soldier, the explorer, the scientist, and the settler. But once you make that choice, you'll begin to see things differently than the other paths. There'll be different content for you specifically because of that choice that you made. You know, if you play the build that we brought here, you'll see things like the explorer will try to get to the top of a hill and he'll have to overcome these avalanches that are coming down the hill, right? You know, because you're an explorer, you'll be successful, but you know, that's content that will be just for you. And we have that kind of content all over the game. And so we think player paths actually give players something that they won't see in other games. And just to be specific, those player paths are directed at certain kinds of players, right? So soldier is all about players that want to fight, right? They've come here, they don't care about the story, you know. Explorers are obviously people that like to explore. And so we've developed those paths to cater to specific play styles for the people who will be getting into our game.
And was that decision on those different paths based upon perhaps research which you thought was lacking in MMOs before? How did that come about?
I think there's been research about particular play styles, right? Bartle is someone who's done some research on that. Ours are a little bit different than those existing ones, but what I would say is I think we're one of the first games that has tried to develop content that's directed at those particular play styles. We think, and this is something that we embrace, right? You know, we'll talk about it a lot, is that we want players to be able to play the way that they want to play. And so we understand, hey, there are certain kinds of players out there, and so we've made custom content for those players so that they'll enjoy our game more and more.
Can you sort of talk about then, how does this all layer together? How does this all come together as one beautiful world?
Do you mean from a development standpoint?
I say both, actually. Development standpoint and from when people are playing, what they expect to see with all this coming together.
You know, our hope, right, with doing our announcement, you know, and showing the game to everyone at the same time, you know, not a lot of companies do that, right? Our hope is that it's something that's unique, you know. We're not reinventing the wheel across the board, but we're definitely pushing in different directions, places that we don't think other companies and other games have taken players yet. And we want to show players that content. But at the same time, you know, the reason that we're letting people play is because we want to know what they think, right? We're going to gather a bunch of feedback from players that are out there, you know, and if we have to make adjustments and changes and iterate based on that feedback, we're not afraid to do that, right? Wildstar is for the players, right? It's for all you people out there, so we're definitely here to listen to what you have to say.
Like you said, people will be getting hands-on with this stuff. Is there a sort of nervous edge to seeing people sit down with this for the first time?
I mean, sure, right? You know, this is our baby, you know, like we're kind of pushing it out into the world. There's always a nervousness about seeing what people will think. But, you know, that being said, Carbine's a company of gamers, you know, so I think we all have a good sense of what's out there. We try to, you know, be honest with ourselves about our content. You know, we think that we've pushed out here something that people will really enjoy. You know, something that they're gonna find compelling.
And how long are we going to have to wait until we finally get to play the game proper? Oh, look at that!
Man, I would love to answer that question for you, but unfortunately, I can't.
I've got a €50 note in my back pocket. I can just slip it your way if you just drop me a note. A year and a date.
I'm sorry, I can't say anything about it.
Okay. Well, is there anything in wrapping up? Any last things you feel that people should know about Wildstar?
Not really, you know, but what I would say is, you know, for people at Gamescom, go down there, play the game, right? For everyone else who couldn't make it, there's going to be a lot of information that comes out of there, right? Go to our website, check out the stuff. We have a trailer, you know, we'll have some gameplay footage that we're going to release. You know, we want your thoughts, we want your feelings. Make sure to write us and tell us what you think of the game.
Listen, thank you very much indeed for the time. Can't wait to actually try it out myself because it looks lovely. Cheers.